9 million players. World of Warcraft has 9 million players. Blizzard just revealed the WoW player count. Blizzard revealing the count? That's a shocker. Let's see what this one's all about here. Turns out, despite all of people's favorite comments on WoW videos, this game's dead. It's very much alive. Let's see what Bellular has to say about these player numbers and WoW's player count.
We may finally know how many people are actually playing World of Warcraft. And it's a number that personally shocked me. It's bigger than I thought. It's bigger than you probably thought.
That's what she
It
said.
is 9 million. But that may not actually even be the whole story. It could even be a bit bigger. So what happened is, and it's a bit weird, but
Also
we
what
dug
she
around
said.
and we found some kind of shocking numbers. In fact, based on what I'm about to tell you, wow.
What was peak? Peak was Wrath of the Lich King, right? What were the numbers? Was it, is it 12 or did it get up to like 18 million? I forgot what the peak subscriber count was. I could probably look it up real quick. Peak sub numbers for WoW. Okay. Let's see, because the last time they repeated it was what, WoD? 12 million. 12 million in 2010 was peak. So that was, yeah, Wrath of the Lich King time, and then it was basically downhill from there.
May have more subs than ever before. And I know that sounds insane. If I was in the other end of this and I was watching the video, I would be ready to hit the dislike button and say, dude, what the hell? What the fuck? That's a load of bollocks. But no, we got stuff to talk about. It's just one of those things where
It's crazy.
I'll
What?
tell you how this could possibly make sense, even though it really does not feel that way. Because I was around when WoW was reported to have 9 million subs, and I can definitely tell you, it felt different. Now, have you ever
You guys remember Blizzard used to put the sticker on the box. If you guys bought like, you know, the hard copy, which a lot of people did back then, of the game, they used to have like a golden emblem in the top corner, and it used to say like 8 million subscribers, 9 million subscribers. I remember seeing the Wrath box in the store with like the 12 million badge on it. They used to brag about it so hard.
a fresh endgame character, inhaled a few guides,
Yep, there were stickers
and,
on the box.
done rubbish DPS because basically you're still new and you haven't actually practiced. Well, back in the day, that's how coding, when all you were really doing is a university course, kind of felt. But with today's sponsor, boot.dev, you're going to get both the best way to learn backend development and one that is made specifically for you, a gamer, quite literally, because Boot is structured like a community RPG. It is one with soul, and the founder Lane actually hit me up years ago because he's also a WoW player and he's designing it for people like us who want to learn
Code,
backend
guys,
development.
code, go ahead.
Back then they were new. But
12
now,
million
for
was by the time
700
Cataclysm hit, so maybe I'm thinking of the 12 million sticker on the Cataclysm box.
Lessons. And Boot is all
Those
about
stickers
learning
were cool.
backend development from the fundamentals through to advanced career-focused training. You'll be doing personal projects for your portfolio and guided projects, like this really fun one of making a Pokedex. But here's what actually matters. Knowing the real fundamentals. It's easy to fire up, say, V0 or Cursor and make some cool, as they say now, vibe-coded stuff. But very often, well, when you do that, you may not know the fundamentals. That can often lead to funny and security nightmare-like results. But with Boot, well, you'll actually know the fundamentals.
There it is.
The learning paths are in either TypeScript or Go.
Look at that.
Fantastic thing. I'm so glad they added TypeScript. It's all well designed.
Man,
super
$20
motivating because
at
of the
Best Buy.
RPG structure. It's got goddamn boss fights.
There's
in
the
it,
sticker,
and
11
it's really
million on this
fantastic.
one.
You'll get 25% off your first purchase at boot.dev/bellular.
Those were the
and
days.
If you're not happy, well, they will refund you on the spot with 30 days.
Let us lay waste to this realm.
Isaac,
Remember
thank you for the
WoW
sub on YouTube,
orchestral
man.
concerts from last year. Well, back in July, there was an announcement trailer for another one over in France. This was a trailer that
He's right. No, 12 million was hit on October 2010 during Wrath of the Lich King expansion. So you're right that it did hit, but I think it carried over into Cataclysm and then fell off from there. That was when the numbers started to go down.
almost nobody saw. And that meant that nobody noticed a really important thing in that trailer, because at the very end of it, it revealed that WoW has got 9 million players. And that may seem a little bit sus. Seems sus to me, but
Wow.
trust me here, this does actually make sense, and I'll tell you why. You see, last year, thanks to a slide from a GDC talk, we estimated something kind
remember
of
this.
surprising. This video got us a lot of interesting comments, but basically via some fun extrapolations and reading graphs.
People hate when there's proof that World of Warcraft is not dead. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's other games out there like this, but there is a hater crowd when it comes to WoW. and they cannot stand the fact that the game is still alive. Like it's the bane of their existence. They want the game to die so badly. They are literally, they're like, if I'm about to die, put me on life support because I got to stay alive long enough to see World of Warcraft die. And the fact is, it's just not dying. I don't know what to tell them.
Things from the slide,
Pisses them off, though.
it seemed to me that WoW had more subs than any of us would have guessed. At the time, over 7 million. Now here's where it gets interesting. After we dropped our video,
always
Windows
use
Central
another
Juan, thank you for the sub, man. Death Knight of our Scourge. Thank you
Wow.
so much. Yeah, dead indeed.
independently verified it, where their sources said that the estimate that we came up with was, quote, roughly accurate. Now remember, this was way
7.25
back
at
in
the
March
time.
2024. It was right at the end of Dragonflight, just before Season of Discovery Phase 3. This new number of
If I had to guess, so 7.25 was declared accurate. If I had to guess, have subs gone up since then through the War Within? I would say yeah. I would think subs are higher in the War Within than Dragonflight. Dragonflight was, I mean, it had to pick up from freaking Shadowlands, one of the worst expansions ever. So whatever Dragonflight did, it had to kind of dig out of a hole. So I would say if we went into the War Within with 7.25, that the number went up from there. I highly doubt it went down. I would say the War Within was a pretty successful expansion. It had its story gripes and, yeah, well, who the hell are the Horonir? Why are they doing some weird dances in the forest? Nobody really knows. And what's that Belladar crystal? Well, we got a sword to deal with, so fuck the crystal. We'll deal with that later too, I guess. So there was issues there. But overall, I think it was a good expansion, and I would bet the Somber numbers have gone up from this expansion.
this new number of 9
Source,
million
trust me,
players,
bro, yeah.
well, it was revealed at the end of July this year. But you do need to note something. It says players, it does not say subscribers, and that's important because they may be reporting their monthly active users, and that may be including free trials. I mean, I've always assumed there's about 7 people playing the free trials, but I guess WoW's a fairly big game and most people would start with a free trial, so who knows how many people that could be. But the numbers that Windows Central sources verified were subscribers. And if this new number was subscribers, it would mean that Blizzard added another 2 million over just the last year. And you know what? That's fairly possible, because two major
so
things
too.
have happened. There's the fairly obvious one of the War Within, which has not been a perfect expansion, but I think most people would say it's been a great improvement over our recent trends. It gave us our first exciting villain in years, that certainly helps, that would have brought people in, and most importantly, it fixed a lot of long-term problems and I would argue this is maybe the biggest thing, added delves, which
Yeah.
would have opened up repeated...
Guys, I mean, I joke about Greg from accounting, but I think delves were a huge thing.
servant.
Huge thing.
We have a realm to destroy.
Spinal, thank you for the follow, man. Delves were a massive add to the game because you got an aging player base, right? Greg from accounting, he's a middle-aged man. He's married. He's got a wife that's extremely abusive, doesn't like him to have fun, so he plays this game mostly at night after she's gone to bed and the banshee bitch has gone away. And his kids are very unappreciative of everything he's done for them in life. So the little joy he gets out of life is found in delves, right? It's a piece of content that he can get on 15 minutes, get his delves in, even get his crests now, fill up his vault. Like, it's a way to keep up with the game without having to go into the rigors or the 35 to 45 minute gameplay of, say, a Mythic Plus, a high-end Mythic Plus, or the hours of gameplay required for raiding, right? Those used to be the only ways that you can keep up with gearing. But now with delves, you can essentially go through an entire expansion through this delve stuff. Just run a couple minutes every week. Just do a couple of them, and you're keeping up with everything in the game. It's a great system. It's going to continue on into midnight. It'll continue on for multiple expansions now. I think this was a huge add to the game. The biggest W of the War Within is delves, no doubt. Shut up, Greg. No, we are the voice of Greg, and Greg will be heard. And I'm happy that Greg has this part of the game that he can play now.
to month gameplay to way more people than before. Because, yeah, even if you're not into Mythic Plus or raiding, you got a thing to do. On top of that, there's the 8-week patch cycle, which means that it's kind of hard to find a time to unsub. And I've even got some stats to support that as well. Dragonflight Season 3 was, in fact, the best season of Mythic Plus ever at the time. It
was a great
where it
season.
opened with over 3 million Mythic Plus runs in the first week. Here's what's wild. The War Within Season 3 opened with over 4 million, which is an entire third more. That's huge. Now, interestingly, raids have taken a bit of a dip. In Emirdasil, 15,110 guilds cleared the first boss on normal in the first 10 weeks. But in Manaforge Omega, that actually went down a little, where it's actually, right now, under 1,400. But I actually think that helps make my point. People who want gear used to have to raid. Now they can just go and do delves.
I was going to say, honestly, if Blizzard wants more raid participation, I feel like they got to buff the amount of crests you get from a raid run. Because right now, like, if you want to optimize time, everybody knows the best way to get geared quickly, unless you're talking about chasing mythic level raid gear, the best way to get geared quickly is to run mythic pluses and delves for crests. Like, just run mythic pluses, you'll get your gear, you'll get your vaults, you'll get your crests, and then run delves to fill out the back end of your crests that you still need. And you're golden. Like, if you want to waste time, you can go raid, right? You can go do heroic level raiding, go waste your time, and you're going to have to roll on shit you're not going to win. You're not going to get as many crests. You're going to spend hours wiping at the same boss. Like, yes, I think raiding, if Blizzard really wants to make it like a one of the most played endgame pillars again, they have to buff the amount of shit that it drops. Because right now, it's not personal loot, it's group loot, so even when the shit drops that you needed, you're going to lose the roll. And the amount of crests that are dropping from each boss is just not as good as, say, what you're going to get from a Mythic Plus in terms of time spent and value added. But yeah, we'll see if they actually do. I don't think they're going to change anything. They probably are fine with the way it is.
People who just wanted to see the raid ending, well, they've now got story mode. So with this in mind, lower raid participation...
The toxicity of raid... Well, there's that too. Yeah, I mean, you raid with Samiccus on stream, you're good. Anyone else, yeah, it's probably going to be a shit show of toxicness.
From guilds does make complete sense. And that's been visible all expansion. And also that it's only down 10% is surprisingly good, especially when the entire casual player base is no longer rammed into full raiding. So with those metrics and a bit of common sense, yes, I think the War Within is definitely doing better than Dragonflight, at least compared to the same point when that 7 million was previously reported. But there's obviously something else, and that is Classic. That 7 million came after Wrath Classic was over, and when Season of Discovery was about to start Phase 3. That would have obviously had an impact on short-term subs, just like Hardcore did.
Sure.
So let's compare to today. Season of Discovery is over. MoP doesn't look super hot in terms of player numbers right now,
great.
and the other Classic servers seem a little bit stagnant, which ain't great. But this 9 million number is not from October. It's from July. And in July, there was an almost perfect overlap, because that is when Season of Discovery was doing its amazing last hurrah with Phase 8. And it's also when MoP Classic had its pre-patch. So, I think, across all versions of WoW, 9 million subs in July actually does make sense. But
sure.
There's an elephant in the room. One that makes the story a bit crazier, and that is China. You see, at the time of our GDC panel, 7 million subs, WoW was still dead in China.
Oh.
So that sub count was from Blizzard alone, not NetEase. But since then, Chinese players have returned to WoW in droves.
They're back.
So the question is, are those people included in this big 9 million number? It technically is possible, yes, that it includes...
I actually don't think it is. I don't think it includes it. I think if you're including the Chinese, it's going to be even bigger than that. I do. I think the Chinese right now are popping the hell off. I mean, we've looked at stats before, and I have them open right now, actually. The number of people running Mythic Plus. You look at global right now. This is Legion Remix, and this is global split between regular runs. I can't believe I have these stats so ready to go. It's almost like I pre-watched this. Chinese, look at that. Look at that. Global without China, and then with China, and then China right here. Look at this shit. China's like half of the... You got the entire world, and then the other half is China. So I mean, just looking at these numbers right here, now these, I don't know if these are Chinese bots, they could be, but they still count as subs too. You got to have a sub for your bot. It's crazy that, and then Legion Remix too. Look how many Chinese are playing Legion Remix. Look at this shit. The Chinese love WoW. It's China stimulating the economy. What can I say?
NetEase's subscribers, but I actually don't think so. I think that combined, WoW is actually bigger than that.
Yeah, I agree with Bell.
There is some evidence to suggest so.
By the way, I didn't fucking pre-watch this. That was from the news this morning, and I just happened to have it open. It's lucky.
Just over a year ago, the Warcraft logs owner said something striking, that he was certain WoW was at an all-time high player count. And he said this based on the sheer number of Ulduar logs that were coming through from the NetEase servers. Basically, it turns out that they really loved having WoW back, where they had 11 million unique characters. Now, obviously, 11 million unique characters is not 11 million players, because people roll alts.
Yeah.
But they actually roll fewer alts than you think. If you take a look at data for Azeroth, you see that 52.3% of people in modern WoW play one character. Now, that's not super reliable, obviously, but it is safe to say this. The average player does not raid with tons of alts. Only a fraction of players ever actually reach max level in Raid, especially in Wrath of the Lich King. So realistically, NetEase could have, what, 4 million or more WoW players? Which is honestly a bit of a conservative estimate, because again, the 11 million unique characters was from raid logs from World of Logs, so that's a high enough bar to clear that would not catch loads of random alts and stuff that people would be making. Now, if you think that's unreasonable, remember something. 2 million people pre-registered within just the first 2 days. So yeah, a lot of people in China were very excited to have Wrath of the Lich King back. Obvious reasons, that was all pretty huge over there. But just to make sure that they didn't all, dual dwar and then abandon the game, Matt took a look at Warcraft logs because he wanted to get just more robust numbers for us in this video. Now, sadly, all I've got here are parse counts from the last 2 weeks, but they are still rather shocking. So first, I took a look at Manaforge Omega on Heroic, where it had a total of 1.85 million parses in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Now, over in China, Icecrown Citadel Heroic had almost 8.1 million.
Oh my god, man, are these... What the hell? 8.9 million on a fucking classic server? 1.8 million. This is retail, US, China? What the hell? Global versus China. Global versus China. What the shit, man? That's a lot of players. Mage, Fire Mage. They love their Fire Mage. And then Bestiality Hunter over here. Wow. Those are crazy numbers.
So, those motherfuckers love their
I am
World of
Samiccus, and
Warcraft.
Samiccus
That is
I.
almost 4 times the raiding population, and all in the China-only Wrath of the Lich King servers. And remember, this is 3 months after Icecrown Citadel launched, so it would have been far larger.
It would have been higher,
on its
yeah.
actual release day.
Shit.
Kind of crazy, right? And that's just Wrath of the Lich King. They've also got access to Classic Era, Hardcore, MoP, and the War Within. So with all of these factors combined, I think it's easy to say that NetEase has still got millions of players, and that the 9 million number I talked about earlier
doesn't include them.
Isn't including NetEase's stuff.
I agree.
Now, if numbers alone don't convince you, do remember this. Over in China, they're about to get their own unique thing called Titan Reforged Classic. And just last month, Ian and Clay addressed the Chinese fans directly. And in that address, Ian said something important. That was that Titan Reforged was their team's main focus for the next year.
Well, no wonder why it'd be their main... Remember, this fucking made it like everybody lost their damn minds over this because they're like, they're not making Classic Plus. They're focused on this Titan Reforged shit. And then Ian had to come out and say, no, that's for China. We got our own shit going on for everyone else right now. But no wonder why they work. Now that we look at the numbers... It totally makes sense why they're working on something specifically for the China team, right? They missed out on all the classics, so this is probably their way of like relaunching them for the shit they missed while the Chinese servers were down. But damn, their numbers are crazy. Of course they're going to make some China-specific stuff.
Alongside MoP and Modern, of course.
They're carrying the game for us, guys.
That are kind of insane. Now, think about what that means. It means that even after NetEase's cut, the Chinese Classic audience brings in so much money, enough that Blizzard can actually give them their own unique content.
Yeah.
So, when you think about it, that actually may mean that WoW has passed its old peak.
That's crazy.
Okay,
That's crazy.
Let's bring everything together. At the time of the GDC panel, which was the end of Dragonflight, Blizzard had around 7 million subs. That was initially a number that I calculated based on a GDC talk, but then Windows Central sources said that that number was roughly correct. And we've now seen the 9 million number as of July. And yes, it is possible they could lie, but you get in a lot of trouble if you do that as a publicly traded company. So if they did lie, then maybe our friends at the SEC would have something to say about it.
Sure.
Now, we don't know exactly what
He's
that
right.
number is, but I think it's not a stretch to say that it was current Blizzard subscribers, probably excluding China. Remember, 11.2 was along the way, Season of Discovery, Phase 8 was recent, MoP Classic was about to launch. If you add at least a few mil from NetEase, then we could be looking at anywhere from 11 million subs up. Now, back in early Cataclysm, WoW's highest ever reported sub count was 12 million people. And that
2010, there you go. Launching into going into Cataclysm.
Included China after their delayed Wrath of the Lich King launch. And that means there's a possibility here. That is, that WoW, earlier this year, was bigger than it has ever been before. All, of course, before midnight, which is promising player housing, and a world without add-ons, which obviously is controversial to current players, but could be huge in re-engaging lapsed fans.
WoW's going to console too, guys. We're going to pass 12 million. It's going to be a 15 million sub game. That's crazy, man. The WoW is dead community is losing their minds right now. They are literally finger popping themselves to death at this point. They're going to lose their shit. 12 million, 12, 20 million incoming. I mean, with it going to going to Xbox too, right? There's always been barriers to entry to this game. One, you got to be a complete degen. Anybody can become a degen eventually, but you got to be one really to play WoW because this is a degenerative game. Two, you need a PC. That's always been a gaming PC. You know, that's always been a barrier to entry. Now, Blizzard has always made WoW be able to play on a potato, so that's always been, lowered that bar a little bit, but you still needed a PC, right? It was only a PC game. And then three, you get the game, you download it. Now you got to download 36 add-ons and weak auras to play the game correctly. That's always been a barrier to entry. Guess what Blizzard's done since then? No more add-ons. Games going to console. And degen's still gonna be degens. That's fine, but you can be more casual now with delves, right? You don't gotta be a complete degen. So they've removed all the barriers to entry. This game's subs numbers are only gonna go up. Plus they revamped the whole new player, return to WoW and new player starting experience. Guys, this game might become the healthiest it's ever been. Shit.
Fans, because to them it would mean, holy shit, World of Warcraft is fundamentally different. Maybe I should check it out. And of course, adding to all that, WoW has got more approachable.
Yeah, if you're wondering the WoW coming to console stuff, I see the Windows PC, mini PC stuff. Yes, it's 2027. The new Xbox is coming out. And basically, they're making the new Xbox a mini PC. Right? That's what they're doing. And it's going to run Windows. You're going to be able to download launchers on it and play anything on it. So, yes, you'll be able to download Battle.net and play WoW.
Combat than ever, and they're even trying to get rid of the nightmare hellscape that was the worst of Mythic Plus. All that put together means it's not a stretch to say that WoW, right now, may be bigger than it ever has been. But, it doesn't feel like that. I know it doesn't feel like that. And that's because it ain't like that. WoW may be the biggest it's ever been. But culturally, that's just not the case, because a lot of shit has changed since 2004.
Big slice, bigger pie.
Everyone knew about it. I mean, come on,
everybody knew about it, and there was the fact that you had 12 million players playing one version of the game, right? All 12 million were on your current servers, retail servers. That was it. There was no classic, was no remix, was no other shit. It was just everybody was playing the current game. Everybody was raiding, basically, because you didn't have Mythic Plus and stuff like that. So, yeah, it did feel bigger. I do think Blizzard has a sharding / server division issue. I mean, I saw the comments about EU and US joining. I wish. I understand the mechanical barriers for something like that to work properly, but then again, we play with Australian players here on the American servers. So, I mean, if we could do that, we should be able to play with the Europeans. But whatever. They keep that divided, but I do think Blizzard should cut it out with all the sharding at a minimum. Like, they combine servers in a way already, but I think it's dumb as shit when you enter a zone and you join like a raid group for some content and you realize, oh, there's actually like 70 people standing right here, right now, but I couldn't see them 2 minutes ago. I think that's dumb. I think that makes the game feel more dead. Like, you should see people. There should be a lot of people everywhere. It's an MMO. That feels very good. Yeah, sharding is also a problem too, but that's because you ate too much Taco Bell. A mega server, yeah, you're talking about the ultimate dream, right? I wish we had mega servers. That, for me, would be like, okay, WoW has now reached peak. But mega servers, there's a technological barrier to that shit. We'll see. What's that fucking game, the outer space game where they're creating that new cross-server technology? Maybe that eventually makes it over to WoW. That, to me, is like game-breaking shit that'll eventually make MMOs even better than they already are, but that's not there yet. Right now, we deal with the current shit. I just wish they'd, cut it out with all the sharding. No Man's Sky. Yep.
South Park episode, we got the big name celebrities, the Prince of Darkness. Now,
culturally, yeah, WoW was bigger back then too.
I mean, you don't see WoW talked about on the news anymore. So how can it possibly be the same size, never mind bigger? Well, the answer is it's all relative. One factor here is that the pie is bigger. And when I say pie, I mean the games industry and the number of people playing games. There are so many more gamers in games than ever before, and I'm not just talking about the casual mobile gamers. You see, 12 million used to be a humongous chunk of the market, but now it's absolutely tiny.
Look at freaking China, man. It's like crazy. China's happy to see us. You said it perfectly. China is carrying and practically WoW is dead. No, that's not true. If any other MMO came out today and hit 9 million subscribers or 9 million players, it would be considered like a raging success. It would be like a story all over everything. The only reason why it's not for WoW is because WoW's been there, for a while now. It's been a thing. But if anything else ever hit those numbers in terms of an MMO, they'd be like, oh, the WoW killer has arrived. 9 million active players. Oh my God, what is this? That's the truth. It's just World of Warcraft, we're a bit numb to it. So no, China's not carrying. If WoW has 9 million people outside of China playing this game, it's very much alive without China. But China puts it way over the top then.
I mean, here's how many people used Steam when WoW was at its height. 3 million.
Literally pre-watched.
Yeah, actually, it was well under 3 million people logged in at any one time. Right now, it's peaked at 41 million. And that would mean that for World of Warcraft to be as relatively strong compared to Steam as it was back then, we would currently need like over 100 million subs.
Yeah.
And that would be for it to be the same relative size as it was back in 2010. At least compared to Steam.
Yeah, as it goes to the analogy, there's plenty of fish in the pond or whatever. I mean, the pond's just gotten bigger. That's the truth. There's a lot more fish in the pond, and the pond has gotten bigger. So yes, where World of Warcraft used to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, now it's still a big fish, but the pond's gotten so much bigger. There's so many more fish swimming around now, so it's just less noticeable than it used to be.
And then for an economic comparison, just look at this. Analysts claimed that in 2009, WoW was 10% of the online games market.
That's crazy.
And it had earned $1.5 billion. Now, in 2025, the total games market is $189 billion.
Yeah, it's a bit
Removing
bigger.
mobile, it's $86 billion. And that would put 2009's WoW at a measly 1.75%.
Right.
Not the estimated 10% that it was back in 2009. And put simply, that means the world is a lot bigger now. And because of that, WoW is a smaller part of the world. Even if WoW is actually doing better than it has been in many recent times in the last decade. Now, the good news is that WoW is still making tons of money. That's obviously why Blizzard keeps on investing in it. It's why they've put a lot into making that team bigger.
It's part of why Microsoft paid $60 whatever billion for Blizzard Activision. All the Call of Duty indies out there are like, oh, they only bought it because of Call of Duty. The truth is they probably bought it because of Candy Crush. But besides that, they also bought it because of World of Warcraft. You got your biggest MMO, obvious moneymaker. It was definitely a contributory factor to why they paid as much as they did.
Opposed to what had sometimes felt like chronic underinvestment, maybe because the company was betting everything on a little MMO successor called Project Titan. Now, that's one reason why WoW does not feel as huge as it probably is, but there's another one, and it's this. WoW is actually 5 different games in a trench coat that are all siloed off from each other.
Yeah.
Of course, logging into your server does not feel as big and bustling and populated as it did back then.
Days, man.
Because even if we've got the same number of subs, we are split between so many different versions of the game. Back in 2010, it was 12 million people split across 2 versions, Kata in the West and Wrath in China. But now, we are split across a ton of different versions of the game in different regions of the world. We hang out in different comment sections and subreddits. Back then, my guild had a website, not a Discord server.
Oh,
so
man,
yes,
yeah,
the
those
communities
days.
are literally all smaller. And that is the price to pay.
Did any of you guys ever go to a guild's website and fill out an application to join the guild? Who the hell used to make that shit, man? These guys, I remember doing that. Yes, like you were not a real guild unless you had a guild website with a guild application on that website. It was like filling out for a job application. Oh my God, I remember that stuff. Yeah, those were the days.
For us having different experiences that are tailored to our preference, all within what World of Warcraft is. So if anything, if I were Blizzard, I would try to make people actually feel like WoW is as big as it is, and apparently doing as well as it is. And if you want a very different experience in Warcraft story, then Midnight may actually have that in store for you. Because we scour the alpha for all the story, all the lore. And that means if you don't mind major spoilers and you'd rather just want to see, are Blizzard actually taking a big swing? Are they willing to go hard? Well, this next video will answer that question.
Yeah, a lot of guilds had that awesomeness feeling, Silvery. Yeah, crazy numbers, man. Really crazy numbers. I was not expecting that. I didn't think WoW was dead, and I thought actually WoW was, doing pretty well for itself. Especially, out of Shadowlands into Dragonflight and now in the War Within. Heading into Midnight, I feel like it's in a good spot. But I'll be honest, even me, as optimistic as I am, I did not expect numbers that big. If really WoW is like with China back to its 12 million, that's pretty crazy. And even 9 million? That's great. That's a healthy game right there. WoW is not dead, despite what the haters say. Nice video from Bellular.